following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Sound like 30 years of the best sports talk in Middle Tennessee, featuring Tennessee Radio Hall of Famer George Plaster, Tennessee Sports Hall of Fame coach Watson Brown, and Young Guns Billy Derrick and Michael Sindrick. And now, here's your host, George Plaster.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome in. Kind of a cloudy, overcast Tuesday in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a good show for you. Let's roll right off the bat and get this started. Let's head up to the plateau and say hello to Coach Watson Brown. Watson, how are you?
Can't hear you, George.
You're not missing much. Let me say this on Watson's front. Before we went on the air today, in one of the ultimate cheap shots, Watson said, and I quote, "It's
George,
nice
I can't
to know
hear
you
you.
have two shirts." Hold on here, Watson. So let's try Watson Brown again. Watson, can you hear me? Oh, apparently he can't. Billy, you can hear
Not
me?
in.
I got you, George.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. Let's do this. Let's
We got the update to get to, George.
yeah,
You wanna
let's
get to that?
let's sort of run the update and we'll figure out Watson's situation here in a second.
All right, George, let's start with Nick Saban. Alabama head coach Nick Saban said he thinks mega conferences are sticking around in college football, especially after USC and UCLA recently left the Pac-12 for the Big Ten. So Saban, honestly, the higher order of college football here, he's saying mega conferences. I think a lot of people would agree with him on that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, this is a foregone conclusion. This was not exactly a this just in bulletin. I mean, it's here. And the only thing to me that's going to decide, okay, who is King Tut and who is Little Tut is basically where does Notre Dame go?
Yeah, that's going to be a big block to fall, George. I
Yeah.
would agree with that. Otherwise,
this wasn't exactly, breaking news. I don't know. I know he was on a podcast somewhere and spouted this off. I guess it's just confirming what we kind of already know.
yeah, and Mac talked about it yesterday too. I mean, he's not exactly sure what this all is going to turn into and what it's going to look like in the future, but we all know that there's not going to be as few conferences as there are anymore right now. I mean, we're going to have this could turn into a little bit of the NFL. So that's Nick Saban there, and of course, not really a surprise, George. But we move on to some golf news. Tiger Woods had a pretty strong quote on the LIV Tour. He said, "LIV players have turned their back on the PGA Tour." He said, "What these players are doing for guaranteed money, what is the incentive to practice? What is the incentive to go out there and earn it in the dirt?" He said, "You're just getting paid a lot of money up front and playing a few events and playing 54 holes." So pretty strong words there from Tiger Woods.
Okay, so let me ask a question here. Good of him that he decided to not take the deal because his was another one of these, 100 million plus kind of deals. And he's been accused of this in the past. So I'm not necessarily breaking new ground here.
No, not really.
Shouldn't he have been at the forefront of going to those players before they made it official to say, look, this is not the way to do this?
Yeah, you got to believe, from Tiger's perspective, he's got as much of a pull as anyone in this sport, just like Tom Brady, just like Nick Saban in the same aspect. So speaking of Tom Brady, one of his former teammates, Rob Gronkowski, will stay in retirement. And we were talking about this earlier, George. Shortly after he announced his second retirement from the NFL, many began to wonder if he would return to football later in the year if Tom Brady were to come calling. But turns out Brady did not come calling, and Gronk will stay in his retirement.
Couple of things there. Number one, I think Brady knows that Gronk physically is beat up. The fact that he doesn't go into full court press of trying to bring him back tells me that Brady knows this is the right move for Gronk. You know, he retired a couple of years ago, and a lot of people felt at the time he's had a lot of back issues. Mm-hmm. I think there's been disc issues, all that kind of stuff. You know, it just, look, I don't think any of us who have not played at that level can fully understand. But I'll say this, when I have been down on an NFL sideline during a game, it's a train wreck. It is hard to describe how physically punishing that is. If I were a player, I'm not sure I would have ever let the NFL expand to 17.
Yeah,
I would have made that my absolute Waterloo.
I'm sure there are a lot of players that would agree with you on that. And another player that would definitely agree with that, he's getting old in his age number, Aaron Rodgers, George. It was in the news recently, more of a social media type thing, but apparently he won a $25,000 bet off of Charles Barkley. Barkley had been making fun of his man bun, and Rodgers was in Lake Tahoe over the weekend, played a celebrity golf tournament. And although he didn't end up winning the thing, he did win a pretty monstrous bet. So George, Barkley said if you were like a plumber, it wouldn't work. I mean, you're Aaron Rodgers, so you can get away with stuff. So Barkley and Rodgers going at it there.
Barkley not a big fan of the man bun?
No.
Got it. You know, it's not the first golf bet that Barkley has lost. I do think that Barkley and I would be a very even kind of deal, because he's got a lot of the same loop-de-loo at the top of the swing. It's not real pretty, but that's just a thought. Charles, if you're listening, and if you are, the question would be, and why? Maybe we can do a bet.
That'd be fun. That'd be fun to watch. I don't think it'd be 25,000, George.
You know, I wonder though, 25,000 is a drop in the bucket. It's a deck chair off the Queen Mary for him. Mm-hmm. But it would not be for me. No. And I wonder if that fact would give Barkley an advantage that I couldn't overcome. In other words, would I gag?
Or would he gag? That might put a little too much pressure on him, George.
He wouldn't gag.
George, we'll stick with football with Rodgers in the news. Heinz Field has explained why they've given up the rights to Heinz Field. We were talking about this before we went on the air. The company explained the situation on Monday. They said, while we worked diligently with the Steelers for several months around a new naming rights deal, they found a new partner willing to pay significantly more than we could justify.
So apparently the ketchup business, either around COVID, after COVID, maybe not as good as we thought. Heinz ketchup is located in Pittsburgh. And so it made a lot of sense for a long time. They had that naming rights of that stadium for about 15 years. And I don't know. I'm just guessing. I would have thought during COVID that we would have had a lot of grilling out, you know, with social distancing, of course, but that ketchup would have been a big deal.
Not anymore.
No, I'm a little surprised.
Not anymore in Pittsburgh. So that's the deal there. Pretty interesting. It's going to be weird watching those games, not seeing Heinz Field up there anymore.
So are we keeping Watson off the show?
You know,
Is he on?
Watson could be on now. Watson, can you hear us?
Well, I'll tell you why we did it.
Why'd you do it?
I'll tell you why. Because that comment you made about, well, before we went on the air, well, it's good to see you that you have two shirts. Really? I mean, that is such a cheap shot. Your brother would never do that. Your brother
no, he's not a cheap shot artist at all. No. And I got swampland in North Dakota. I'll say you can believe that one. Huh?
He's a little more prim and proper than you?
No. No, you can't go there.
This comes on the heels, for those of you who never heard Watson and I on radio, in one of the very last shows we ever did, this is a true story. Do you even know how to read?
That's one you're just not going to forget, is it?
That was, I mean, when you think about it, of all the cheap stuff that we have thrown at each other, none of which has hurt either one of us, that was the most low-down thing you have put out there yet. You should be ashamed.
George, I'm sorry.
No, you're not.
George, that you think that was worse than what he said about 30 seconds into the show yesterday?
What did I say yesterday?
What did he say?
He said you got to spend 2 hours looking at that face.
Oh, I don't have any problem with
tough.
that. Look, first of all, it's true. And secondly, he's not the first to say it. People in my own family have said it.
That's tough. George, we got an ad read here before the break.
Do we really? That'll be big.
You're going to pull up a little graphic here, George. We got graphics now.
Nice. Too. And we've got Watson.
We've also got Watson. The 4 o'clock hour is presented by the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, proven to be trusted with your most personal asset. The Justin Tucker team, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty. Call 615-906-8458.
Okay. You're back for your second day of broadcasting. Kind of give us a little bit of what went on in the first day and where can people see Watson and Mac, because that was a terrific interview.
So you're talking to me here, George?
I'm talking to the Ayatollah Khomeini. Who the hell do you think I'm talking to?
Yeah, I figured you were talking to me. Sorry, I was a little busy there with something else. Yeah, George, that was definitely great stuff. Now it's hard to be serious on this.
Is Khomeini still alive?
George, why are you asking me this?
Where is this show headed?
I don't know.
For God, hey, I'm not on for 10 minutes and it goes to pot.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
It goes all over the place.
Let's see how he answers this.
All right, take two. So, George, great interview. Watson and Mac went coach to coach, almost 30 minutes long. Full interview is on YouTube now. You can also go to Twitter and see the clips that we've put up, also on Facebook. So it's getting out there pretty quick, George. Had to make sure we did that. And for anybody that wants to watch the full interview, go to our YouTube channel, or you can also listen to it if you're in your car on Spotify and Apple Podcasts as well. So lots of different ways, George.
Okay, excellent. Got a good show today. After the break, Nashville Predators president and CEO Sean Henry will join us. He's also a Yankee fan, and my suspicion is that will come up fairly early in the interview. Then during the 5 o'clock hour, we're going to meet up with Nashvillian Jacob Stallings, who happens to be the starting catcher of the Marlins. Guess who does the interview? His sister, Jordan, who is a rising broadcast star at SMU down in Dallas. In between that, a little stat of the day, Plaster bet of the day. Yeah, I know. 0 for 1. Anyway, we've got some fun coming. Sean Henry is next. This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media Television.
Buying or selling a home can be a very personal experience. Why not go with the team that receives nearly all of their business from referrals? Clearly a trusted name in real estate. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners has sold more than 500 homes in the last 7 years. Voted best in Sumner County multiple times. Proven to be trusted with your most personal assets. Call the Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners at 615-906-8458. The Justin Tucker team with Platinum Realty Partners, Middle Tennessee's most trusted team in realty.
I highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation because of their caring nature and attentiveness to detail.
Pre-planning your funeral now will bring you peace of mind and less stress to your loved ones. When the chaos of losing you happens, your family can honor and celebrate your life, knowing things are happening just as you wanted them to. Pre-planning determines the details of your funeral, cemetery services, and can be less expensive. We are honored to serve you and are always here for you in your time of need.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor-trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor-trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor-trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
I've done sports, I've been a photographer, I've been an editor, I've been a producer, I've been a reporter, I've been an anchor. I mean, I've done every job you could possibly imagine this. And so sports was a way to have fun and be different. But then I realized community is where it's at, and community and local and doing places and going, seeing people. And, sports, you go to a stadium, everybody celebrates and they go their different ways. But community-wise, there's so much going on.
We are back, and we welcome all of you in on this Tuesday afternoon. Watson, I think we're awaiting a visit from Nashville Predators president, not easy to say, president and CEO, Sean Henry. Are you surprised they let us back in here today?
Yeah, I thought it'd be 50-50, but you're a good politician, so I figured you work your way back in the door.
Did Mac enjoy the interview?
Yeah, he did. I think he really did, and I think we got a lot out of that. I don't know when we'll talk about some of the things that he talked through a little bit, but I sure didn't catch any hint that they're headed to the SEC anytime soon, George, not from what he said yesterday for sure. Lost you.
Anything he said really surprised you?
No, it all fit within his personality, his philosophies. It didn't surprise me anything that he went with. Pretty much all the coaches across the board are saying, hey, we got to fix this. There's got to be some structure here somewhere. So he fell right into that.
Okay, I'm told we're ready with Nashville Predators president and CEO Sean Henry, one of my favorite people in Nashville sports to deal with over the last 10 years or so. How are you?
Well, you're starting your first show ever off with a lie. I know I'm not your favorite person with the Predators, let alone one of your favorite people on the planet. Watson, why are you on the show with this liar?
Well, now, wait a minute. When you said not even with the Predators, who are you referring to?
Nat Harden. You like way more than you like me.
Well, he was around when we needed him. Okay.
So there you go.
You were in Tampa drawing big bucks.
Well, congratulations, guys. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
It really is. And I am so appreciative that you had me on to launch your first show ever. And today is the first show I hear, right?
Second show.
They
I have
lied
said
to you,
this
Sean.
time and time and time again. How am I not on the first show ever? This is like the 18th time with a new gig for you that you screwed me. Come on, man. I'm an opening day pitcher. I'm not a second day guy. Oh.
You are Jameson Tyon. That's sort of a Yankee deal. So
Hey.
I'm gonna ask a serious question right off the bat. You ready?
Yeah, that's going to really get people tuning in, man. Let's go serious. We're going to talk about the January 6th hearings or what?
No.
You want to talk about gas? You want to talk about, serious. We're in sports, bro.
Okay, and that's where I'm going.
All right.
All three of us in this picture have spent our entire lives in sports, and we are incredibly blessed to be able to say that. Sean, there are a bunch of kids out there, young adults, I guess would be the proper word, who are in things like sports administration programs at different schools. I don't know whether that's the route to go, but if you were going to give a young person a piece of advice, if they wanted to eventually do the things you have done, what's the piece of advice you'd give them?
Probably like you guys, you hate giving that advice out because everyone's path's a little bit different. But I don't know both of your stories exactly, but it's probably somewhat similar to mine, that you took advantage of that first window of being in the door and you just try to work harder than anyone around you. At the same time, help the people next to you. For me, I came in through the food and beverage side of the business when I was 14 years old, worked all through junior high, high school, and college. And I was fortunate that my company built a trainee program for me. They happened to service sports teams around the nation. And I was going to go to Detroit for 3 months to work in the Pistons account. And I never left. I stayed there 5 years. And then, of course, a few years later, after I left, they bought the Lightning. And I came back to the organization to run the business side of the Lightning. And, it doesn't matter what your first job is. You just work hard and do the right thing every day. Try to make the people around you a little bit better. And don't worry about what your title is or what you're getting paid. And that's easy to say now at, 54 years of age. When I was 21, I wanted, a different title and different money. But maybe I was too shy, believe it or not, to ask for it. And it's probably the best thing to happen to me. People people that just want to do more. And I always love the fact I work for guys that the reward for doing a really good job is you got more to do. And I tell people that if you enjoy that and embrace that, the sky's the limit for you. And let's face it, like you said, we're all blessed to be in sports for a living. And if you have to work, there's not a better way, to spend, 20, 30, 40, 50 years than being around, the sports entertainment industry, because it's upbeat and it's fun. And most of the people in it are really, really good people. And, people want to tune in, they want to come out and they want to talk about what we do for a living. And it's so much more fun. It really, really is. So, it's kind of the golden rule, right? Work hard, be honest, and try to make the company better tomorrow than they were the day before.
Sean, I've always believed if you dread Monday on Sunday, that's when you've got a big problem. And knowing you, I think I'm right in feeling that you never really feel like you've, quote, worked a day in your life, that this is fun.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's obviously there are a handful of days that, like all of us, every once in a while you're Fred Flintstone and you have a Mr. Slate around you. And sometimes you have a few negative surprises you got to deal with, but they're so far and few between in our industry that every day's fun. And, I always laugh when people are like, oh, do you have to be at all the games and all the concerts? I was like, well, have to is a weird word. Yes, it's part of my job, but where else would I want to be? It's just such a positive environment to be in. You're with people that are come in smiling and upbeat and they're passionate about your company. And more often than not, my family's with me too. So it's just a great place to be. So you're right. I love coming to work. I mean, I like vacation too. Don't get me wrong, but work is so enjoyable. It really, really is. You get to work with people that when you were 12 years old, you never thought you'd be interacting, with fill in the blank, whoever it may be. And I always say we're all 12-year-olds at heart. And the day you forget that is the day you're probably going to lose your joy in working in sports.
One of the best decisions, in my opinion, you all ever made was one that I absolutely butchered. Jeff Cogan showed me the gold when you all decided to go gold, and I was like, this ain't going to work. And it has turned out to be one of the 2 or 3 best decisions you all ever made. And now you look and the whole arena is wearing gold. How did that thing actually get started?
Tom Seagram was our chairman in 2009 or 2010, I forget exactly when. And he had a very simple vision. We're going to be an incredible team. We're going to do things that we haven't done yet, but we needed our own identity. And when you look at the color palette or spectrum of uniforms across sports, and you sit down at the time, Reebok was our uniform partner, and we kind of sat down and we looked at the color wheel, if you will. And it didn't matter what the sport was. It didn't matter what the team was. Roughly 120 teams in professional sports. I think they presented us with 240 teams. So a handful of tier 1, division 1 college schools too. And you look at the colors and, bar chart going across, coming down, bar graph. And it was blacks and blues and reds and, all these colors. And, each color got a little bit less, a little bit less, a little bit less. And at the far right-hand side were the color gold and then pink. 0 teams wear pink. And at the time, there were 2 teams that had gold in their secondary logo or uniform. And, Tom pointed that. He said, that's the color we need to embrace, period. Because we're going to have something when you turn on our games, you're going to see a sea of gold, and you'll know exactly who you're watching. You'll know it's going to be a home game, like you do with the Flames, like you do with the Red Wings. Some of the teams that have 5 colors in their uniform, you don't quite see the same thing. So a lot of people thought we were wrong. You were one of them. Your good friend Jeff Cogan was one of them as well.
Yes, he was.
Oh, he told me, Sean, this is awful. You got to tell Tom not to do it. I said, well, hey, I think it's a good idea. And again, regardless of what the color is, it's a good idea. And then you start looking at the attributes of the color. You know how near and dear pediatric cancer research is to our organization. What is the color of pediatric cancer? Come on, I laid it up for you. It's on a T.
Gold.
There you go.
Hey, what do we got, Johnny?
Right. But, it's like you start looking at those things and you start layering that together and you kind of build the whole storyline. But you look at where we are now or who we are now, and we're gold. And the soccer team is gold. And it's always really neat when a second team in the city shares a similar color to you, because when you go to a soccer game, you see people in soccer jerseys and kits and T-shirts, and you see them in Preds jerseys because you go to your closet and you grab gold. And I think that's pretty neat. I really do. You see that in Pittsburgh. You see that in a few different cities. And it really is fun. So it sure did work, though, didn't it? I mean, we saturated the market.
And I do remember telling Cogan, this isn't going to work.
What
a visionary I am.
I remember him telling me that over and over. George Plaster, the foremost expert in sports, says it'll never work. What are you going to do now?
We're going with it. So tell me this. When you're a president.
Look at that.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's an old picture because that's at least 5 years ago.
But it's a beautiful picture.
Beautiful.
So tell me this. When you're a president and a CEO, when do you get involved in on the ice? What direction are we going? And when are you absolutely not involved?
Well, you're involved every day. And, David Poyle is our general manager, president of hockey operations. And we're so fortunate to have him. He's been doing this 40 years, all-time wins leader. Easy to criticize the general manager or the coach if the team doesn't win the cup, period, or the Super Bowl or NBA championship or the World Series. But that comes with the territory. But David and I probably talk on average 3 times a day, 7 days a week, almost to the point of annoyance to his wife and mine or other meetings we're in. What I love about our relationship is we don't have a set meeting, because I think for what I do, if you set a meeting, sometimes you'll wait 3 days or 4 days for the next scheduled time to get together, and we need to do it a lot more often. But we were constantly talking about what the makeup of the team looks like today, tomorrow, 3 years from now, 10 years from now, where we're going, where do we need to invest in, where are we from data analytics to video research to our coaches to our team support services. Where should we invest some more? Should we renovate Centennial? How are we traveling? Where are we going? What are the holes on the roster? How do we fill them? What does that look like? And I'm more of a soundboard for him, but I just enjoy how we challenge each other, and it's been wonderful to work with. Yeah, if you had to script a great partner on the sports side of the business, you can't find a better partner than David Poyle. I mean, he's forgotten more about hockey than most of us will ever know. But he comes at it with such a well-planned, well thought out view of what we could do, what we should do. It's so creative. And he doesn't care if he gets credit. He doesn't care how people see his approach. What he cares about is always trying to put the team a little bit more forward than we were yesterday. And
Sean, the interview will get better after the break, because then I shut up and Watson gets into it and you all can comment that the questions are better. Talk to me a little bit about Ford Ice Centers that you have been at the forefront of putting together and how important those are in growing this sport in this area.
My answer is going to surprise you. It normally does most people. Building the first Ford Ice Center wasn't truly about growing the sport and building future fans. Jeff Kogan and I used to kind of have a playful disagreement about that all the time. He would always call them fan factories. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. But to me, it was always a little bit bigger than that. When we worked with Carl Dean on building the first one and selecting the site for the second one, it was really modeling Mayor Bredesen, Governor Bredesen's vision of using quote unquote civic furniture. And by placing that in different parts of town, you can spur on economic development. I'm obviously a huge believer in our game. And I think any child that plays the game of hockey instantly becomes a better teammate. They instantly become a better student. If a football player plays hockey, he or she becomes a better football player. If a volleyball player also plays hockey, they become a better volleyball player for a lot of reasons. But it was, to quote Vince Gill, it was about giving more kids more good choices. And as he always says, if you give a kid a good choice or a bad choice, they'll never break your heart. They'll always pick a good choice. If you give a child no choice, well, then they might pick something, that you don't want them to do. So when we built the first one in Antioch, and we built it in, an empty mall right next to it, the idea was, what can we do in Antioch? It was going in the wrong direction for too many years. You had a handful of people really trying to make Antioch different than where it was. Ben Freeland, probably no one bigger fan than him. And he was the one that really encouraged us to work with Ford, believe it or not, even though we had a Chevy dealership across the street. We cared about Antioch. A lot of people do. And we dropped that and opened it up, and Antioch has changed ever since then, without exception. Built a park, a rec center, a library, Ford Ice Center. Nashville State went in there as well. And it's different. But then what it also did is broke down a few barriers geographically to open up our game to kids that don't look like mine. And that was really important and really special too, is we work on, who's playing our game, who becomes fans of our games. Building Ford Ice Center in Antioch was more about that than anything else. Oh, and by the way, we are growing our youth hockey participation at a faster clip than any other market in the United States, and have for about 7 years. Coincidentally, what happened 8 years ago? We opened up the first Ford Ice Center, opened up the second Ford Ice Center in the fall of 2019. Same thing, the west side of town instead of the east side of town, get a little bit closer to a few more people in an empty mall, and spurred on, that development. Now we're opening one in Sumner County, probably will be up and running in about 18 months. Rumor is, I have not confirmed this rumor yet, there is one happening in Williamson County. You know, you can read about it in your newspaper. I won't comment much further on it. And then we're building F&M Bank Arena, which features 2 sheets of ice and will be the future home of Austin P, men and women's basketball. And we're working with TSU to see if we can bring a Division I men and women's hockey program to TSU's campus, which would be really special. So to do it, you need more ice, but it's not about building future fans. That's a good byproduct. It really is. It's about creating these miniature economic engines for municipalities and counties that want to do something special. Same thing Bridgestone Arena did for downtown. These small Bridgestone arenas do in the communities they're in. And it makes our game a little bit easier for more people to play. My favorite question people ask, and maybe you're going to go there, is, well, how many's enough? Then I laugh. I said, I don't know. Like, how many Fritos are enough, right? Their slogan is, just keep eating them. We'll make more. And, it's an insatiable demand. The more we open, the more need there is. But what I love is, I love sports, and you know that. And it's just a central figure in everything I am, on my family's life. I've never chastised a city for having too many Little League fields, soccer fields, open fields. And it's the same with hockey. There's no reason that every town doesn't have a community rink. And I really mean that. St. Louis has done a great job. And it started, when I got there, I had nothing to do with it. I worked with the Rams back then, but they're called Metro Centers or Recplexes. And not every town, but I don't even know how many, 15 towns have a Recplex. It's a combination: softball, baseball, inline skating, ice hockey, basketball. And it's the rec center that we all had growing up, but they've added ice to it. There's no reason that we don't have the same thing.
Stop there. We'll have more with Sean Henry. Watson Brown will take over. Watson, steal a couple of extra minutes if you want. This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media TV. Okay, tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelly Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really appreciate this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
I love the ending to that commercial. We welcome all of you back. Nashville Predators President and CEO Sean Henry with us. You could feel the passion in him as he talked about those Ford Ice Centers. Watson, steal a couple of extra minutes and go at it.
Sean, it was interesting to listen to you talk because all three of us had to start somewhere. And with me, I've gotten injured. I can't finish a career. I don't know what I want to do. You know, I'm one of those that's stuck. My coach was let go, and in comes Steve Sloan, a guy that had recruited me out of Alabama. And I stay on as the only helper, GA, that they had, and it was Steve Sloan, Rex Dockery, and Bill Parcells. Wow. And what a start for me. I was breaking down everything for all three of them. Steve got me my first job with Pat Dye. Without that help, I don't know where I would have gone or where I would be. Who were the people in your young life that really got you started, and then you took off from there?
Yeah, again, I'm so fortunate. You know, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and if we're going to go to college, we're going to pay for it ourselves. You know, we're first generation students. And I was so fortunate. My very first job at 14, 15 years old, our general manager was a gentleman named Bill Butler. His younger brother was Frank Butler. They were my mentors. I mean, their job was to make sure I went to school. I learned some things. They thought they were raising young men and women, much more so than selling hot dogs or whatever they did. Yeah. And if it weren't for those guys, I never would have been introduced at a higher level to people in the organization that built the trainee program for me while I was still in college. I was a full-time employee in college. And then to be sent to Detroit, the brand new home of the Detroit Pistons, they changed our industry. They invented our industry, the Pistons did. And there were 2 people there, Tom Wilson, who's the CEO of the Pistons for, 25 years. Then he went to the Red Wings for about 10 years. But Tom was our CEO. Ron Campbell was our CFO. Ron became our president in Tampa and then hired me as the COO. Those 2 guys gave me more opportunity and a rope to hang myself with or swing, and sometimes it was both, than I ever deserved. And I learned from 2 of the very best in this industry, and I'm so grateful for it. The funny thing is, you talk about the full circle nature of being recruited and then hired by somebody, is Bill Butler's nephew, Danny Butler, runs our Fordyce Centers. Ron Campbell's son, our CFO, his son interned with us. He lived with us. Then he went to work for the Sounds, and now he works at the Lightning. I mean, it's such a great industry of, you know, people continue to open doors for each other, and then it's up to you to, you know, break them down and go through. But it is so much fun that, you know, Danny Butler, for example, can literally tell stories about Tom Wilson, who helped me. You know, he's kind of in that tree now, if you will, like the coaching tree. Tom Wilson started selling tickets in a building that was brand new called the Great Western Forum in LA. Wow. You know, so he goes back, you know, 50, 60 years, whatever it may be. And I love when people talk about coaching trees, right? Yeah. Well, there's also a sports management tree here or there. And I'm pretty proud to find myself in Ron Campbell's and Tom Wilson's.
Well, it's neat. And I don't know that we all talk about that enough because, you know, that just the start is so important. And it's really neat to hear yours. Something else always interests me, I wanted to ask you. When I first thought that hockey wouldn't go in the South, I'm one of these old football dudes that, hey, if you're not in college football, there's nothing else. You were a part of Tampa and Nashville, and both of them unbelievable franchises. Now, did you believe that would happen when you jumped into this? Are you a little surprised by it? Talk a little about that.
You know, when we got to Tampa, and we had all the arrogance in the world. I know that's shocking to everyone that I came in with a little confidence. And but you know, we were the Detroit Pistons. We changed the industry. We own the 2 busiest amphitheaters in the country, one of the busiest arenas in the country. The Pistons sold out, I don't even know, 800 straight games, won back-to-back championships, 8 straight conference, you know, finals. I mean, we were a very successful organization. We thought we'd show up in Tampa and get out of the way. You know, we'd snap our fingers and sell everything out. We did not realize how beaten down that market was. I mean, it was the worst sports city in America by far. You know, the Buccaneers were the worst team in sports. We took that title from them, and then the Rays took it from us. I mean, it was three of the most failed franchises in their respective sport. And then a weird thing happened. We all got new ownership. The Buccaneers and us, we started working together on marketing and having fun, and our players interacting a little bit more. And in a few short years, they won the Super Bowl in 2003. We won the Stanley Cup in 2004. The Rays made the World Series a few years later. Unfortunately, didn't win yet. But pretty quickly, it became a great sports market. It was so much fun. But I always knew it could be there. It's a much bigger market than most people realized back then. Now it's one of the top 10 biggest markets in the country. But everyone that lived in Tampa, if they were from there, they were college football fans to begin with. If they were from somewhere else, they were baseball and football and hockey and basketball fans, right? You don't give up your fandom just because you move. It was our job to make them Lightning fans, our job to make them Buck fans and Rays fans. And I see the same thing here. How lucky were we as a franchise to come into a market that live events were so important, whether that be music, college football, college basketball, college baseball, minor league baseball, and of course, NASCAR. I mean, everyone in this market loves getting together to party and celebrate something. And our job was just to tap into it a little bit and get out of the fans' way. Did the fans say they want to chant that a goalie sucks and it's his fault? Let's celebrate that. You know, if our fans want to light up their flashlights on a goal review for Let It Be, for the Paul McCartney song, I mean, the best things that we're known for, we had nothing to do with except applaud it and smile and have a little bit of fun. So am I surprised? I'm a little surprised about the sustained support, the passionate sustained support in all the newer markets, because it's hard. You got to get through that first 20 years and get that second generation. And a lot of teams don't last those first 20 years. I mean, there's a lot of relocations in a lot of different sports because you have to see it through. And it's not about winning. Winning is the most important thing in the world to me, period. But when you're building a fan base, winning makes it easier. But it's really connecting with people in a pretty deep way and making sure that when their kids and grandkids come along, their first and only choice is your team. And that team, that's where we are right now. We're coming up on our 25th season, our 24th anniversary. And it's just been so much fun to watch it continue to grow and develop. When I came here for the first time in maybe 2002 or 2003 for a game, there were probably only 9,000 or 10,000 people in the building, but you could tell the excitement and the enthusiasm and the passion and the knowledge. And I was so excited to come here for the opportunity. I just didn't realize what a great place it was going to be to live too. So yeah, I always thought it was possible, but when I'm being really honest, I am always a little bit surprised about the all-star game that we did with 30,000 people outside watching the game and the free concerts, 100,000 people down Broadway that set the stage to bring the NFL draft on board. And it's a city that will always surprise you by showing up in a bigger way than you ever thought possible. And that's response to the flood, response to the tornado, response to great events. So it's such a wonderful place to be, isn't it?
Yep, it is. George, I got time for another. Or are we done?
You got – Billy is calling shots. He just gave it the no.
We got to go.
Hey, this is his second day, and he's telling us what to do.
I'm just following the script, George.
No,
what in the world? Sean, what would you do with that?
Well, Billy, Derek, you're one of the royal families in Nashville. You can't just cut us off this way, can you?
Shouldn't he have to go to confession?
Well, I don't know. I think I go to confession at Derek's homes. They're one of the 5, reigning families.
Yeah, I'll make sure my mom knows that I cut you guys off.
No, please do, because I'm calling her on the way home. I'm like, you won't believe what Billy did.
Cut us off. Sean,
George,
thank you for taking the time to come on here. Do you want to hear Billy do his little read?
Well, before I do, I just want to thank you both. And, Billy, for making sure I turn my camera on and making this so easy. And I'm really excited about the show. What you guys are doing is exciting. It's fun. Love talking and listening to local sports. So I really appreciate what you guys are both doing. So thank you.
It absolutely won't be the last time we ask you.
Might be the last time I say yes.
Wow.
Look at
that. Shots everywhere. Good Lord. Okay, so Billy gets to do his read. Let's hear it. It comes down in 3, 2, 1.
What? I need a countdown, George?
Yeah, just Say it.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation is another sponsor of this 4 o'clock hour, George. They are sharing their family with yours in time of need. Now with 2 convenient locations in Gallatin and Hendersonville, and online at sumnerfuneral.com. Sumner Funeral and Cremation, traditional, affordable, and dignified.
Hey, Watson.
Yes.
If he keeps cutting us off like that, he may need that service quicker than he thought.
Oh, my God.
Billy, you going to learn, man. Don't mess with the Plaz. That's all I can tell you.
Okay, when we come back, we've got a stat of the day that I've already heard the thing. I don't have a clue. Not even a clue. So, Watson, you have not heard it on purpose.
Oh.
Because my gut feeling is you will not have a clue either.
Well, let's find out.
This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media Television.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
At Sumner Funeral and Cremation, our mission is to serve families as our own, celebrate the life of their loved one, and help begin the healing process.
My whole family, including my wife and my mom and siblings, were very happy with the treatment that we received. I would highly recommend Sumner Funeral and Cremation.
We offer funeral, burial, cremations, and pre-planning services.
Sumner Funeral and Cremation. Traditional, affordable, dignified. SumnerFuneral.com.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com. At WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics, we pride ourselves in providing access, innovation, and a patient experience second to none. Access to care and treatment when you need it. Innovation with medical-led cosmetics and various on-site technologies for full-service treatments with a customer experience that is calming, casual, and effective. Independently owned, providing medical, surgical, pediatric, and cosmetic dermatology and more. Visit WellSkinMD.com to schedule your appointment today. WellSkin Dermatology and Aesthetics. Access to healthier skin.
I think journalism is like politics. It's all local, and I think Main Street Media has really hit on something that I've been preaching for 50 years. And keep the news local, right? Local stories for local readers, and that's what I like about Main Street Media. I finally found somebody who agrees with me philosophically about concentrate on local subjects, local topics, and you'll bring your readers in.
We are back. Billy, do you get a little more airtime here?
Yeah. How about that? What do you think about that, George?
Let's hear it.
Stat of the Day is brought to you by John English Vintage Sports and Cards, specializing in antique and historical sports equipment, games, advertising, and other sport-related items. You can visit John English Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee, open Tuesdays through Fridays from noon to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. For more info, visit their website, johnenglishgradeDcards.com. grade.com. You know what grade D means, George?
No.
I'm not really sure either. I thought you might know.
We'll call John and ask him.
All right.
So normally when we do stat of the day, we kind of turn it into almost a trivia question. And oftentimes it's an embarrassment to both Watson and me, more often me, but very seldom do I get one of these where I'm like, I don't have a clue. I don't even have a place to start. But this one, I don't know. I have no clue.
You ready for it, George?
Yeah.
All right, here it is. Stat of the day, presented by John English Antique Sports and Cards. Terry Bradshaw at Louisiana Tech backed up who during his first 2 years in college?
Okay.
Oh, I know it.
I knew it. I knew Watson would know it.
Yeah, this is, well, first of all, this is right in his wheelhouse.
It's one of the Robinsons. I think it's Daddy.
What do you remember his name?
Oh, no. I mean, they're
part of the answer there, Watson.
all the time, as we well know. But I know it's one of the Robinson, and I swear I think it's Daddy, and I can't remember his first name.
George, you got any last ditch effort?
Oh,
here?
I don't have a clue.
Okay. Watson, you're right. You didn't get the name, but it is Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty.
Yes. There
That's
you go.
Right.
Look at that picture there. Bradshaw and Robertson there.
Did you put that in there?
I did.
That is really well done.
That's what I'm here for, George. I don't know how you're trying to cremate me right now.
Listen, am I allowed to say something real quick? We ran a commercial in the last stop set. That's what they call commercials, that run stop set. James Warren, Sir Speedy of Berry Hill. Did you see that sign, Watson, from the bowling night?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. Those people do great work. And if anybody is curious, we are going to do the Plaster and Friends Celebrity Bowling Night again, and we'll release the date as soon as we've got it all taken care of. How about that?
It's fantastic. It was unbelievable. If you can repeat it, I'd say you've done great, because it was fantastic.
Yeah, we had a ball putting it together. People had so much fun. So, are you ready to turn the clock to the 5 o'clock hour?
I'm ready.
Okay, we're going to put a little class into the show. This is Jordan Stallings. Jordan is a student at SMU down in Dallas. Think about this. Her father was a basketball coach, obviously, for a long, long time. Her brother is the starting catcher of the Marlins. So you grew up in a very athletic family.
I did.
And I don't think anybody heard that.
We're working on the audio right now.
Oh, we're working on audio. Oh, that's...
Do our best here.
Let's try it again.
I did.
Oh, there we are.
Hey, guys.
I think we hit pay dirt. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. So you grew up in a very athletic family.
I did.
What was that like?
Well, first I have to brag on myself because my dad says I was the most athletic kid in the family.
Really?
But I didn't make it to the major leagues, so I don't know what that shows. But it was great. I mean, that's just kind of how I've grown up, and I never really realized that it wasn't normal until kind of just got older and started meeting people that didn't just love sports. And that's kind of when I decided that maybe I wanted to work in sports.
Okay, so let me make sure I've got this part of it right. You've made the decision you want to be in sports broadcasting.
Yes.
And so I call it whatever you want, an internship, which is not saying much based on if I'm the teacher, she's not going to learn much. But your first interview on the show is with your brother. How weird was that?
I've had to interview Jacob for a few things at school, just projects and stuff, but it was funny. I mean, in the first part of the interview, when I was trying to do a formal introduction and be professional, I could see him on the other end of the Zoom call smiling and trying not to laugh. So I was really trying my best. But, I'm really wanted to take sharing his story seriously because I think it's really important to show those low moments that he had.
I have told him in the past that while the assumption always was that when your dad and I would get on the phone, that all of the conversations were about Vanderbilt basketball, that wasn't even close to true. Most of them were about the prospects of Jacob and could he eventually work his way through the minor leagues and just get the chance to be a major league player.
For sure. I mean, that's like what we've tried to battle over and over again through time. It's just...
And that's a little bit of what the interview is.
For sure. I mean, I think I was trying to encapsulate what makes our family so proud of Jacob and really try to put that into the interview. And that's, other than the person that he is, it's what he got through and how he got to the success that he's had now. So.
Okay, let's watch this. He was traded a year ago on the day of our bowling deal. And I'll never forget, Kevin came in and said, by the way, Jacob's been traded. Anyway, Jordan Stallings with her brother, Marlins catcher Jacob Stallings.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Stallings, and today I'm going to be interviewing a very special guest. He is the starting catcher for the Miami Marlins in the National League's reigning Gold Glove catcher. And most impressively, he is my brother, Jacob Stallings. Jacob, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Okay. So you and I are both currently in New York for the Marlins' third series against the Mets this summer. So I know you're short on time. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into the beginning of your story, starting at Brentwood Academy, your high school sports career. When you think back to those 4 years, what is one highlight that really sticks out to you?
I would say probably if I had to pick one, it would be winning the state championship my senior year in baseball. But I certainly had some fun basketball memories playing with Brandon Wright, winning a couple of state championships there too. But winning the state championship my senior year in baseball was pretty special.
I know that you pitched and it was a lot of stress in the family trying to determine if you were going to get hurt and if it was going to be too detrimental, but I've heard that story many times. And you, like you said, ultimately excelled at both basketball and baseball, but you decided to commit to the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill for baseball. Tell me about the feelings you experienced in your first practice. You arrive on campus and you're faced with the reality of the talent that really existed on that team.
Yeah, I mean, I remember calling our dad and telling him that I felt like I was the worst player on the team. And I really don't feel like that was an exaggeration. I really think I was the worst player on the team at that time. And, was playing with second overall pick, Dustin Ackley, and major leaguers like Matt Harvey and Kyle Seager and Adam Warren. So it was there was a lot of talent on that team, but yeah, I just remember being really overwhelmed. It was the first time I'd been away from home for a long time, but I definitely felt like I was probably the worst player on the team.
For sure. But I think that story of you calling dad is really representative of just the pattern that your career as a whole has ended up playing out as. So you ended up fighting for the starting position on the team. You set the university's record in thrown out base runners your junior year. You made multiple Omaha appearances, and at the end of college, you ended up getting the chance to continue your career professionally. So how do you think that those adversities that you had to face ended up actually benefiting you in your professional career down the road?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, when I was at North Carolina, I had to work really hard to just be good enough to get on the field. And, I think our parents, instilled really hard work ethic in us before that. But I think that just that in general was kind of a good stepping stone for me and what it was going to take for me to not only get on the field at North Carolina, but eventually reach the big leagues. And yeah, I mean, it's certainly hasn't been a straight line path for me, but yeah, I think it just taught me really how hard I was going to have to work to reach my goals.
For sure. And I think I asked that because I know our parents our whole lives have kind of drilled the narrative into our head that the kids that have to work harder and don't have everything handed to them, or who things are not a straight line for, end up being better off on the other side. So I was just wondering how you thought that, or thought how that has played out in your career. But you got drafted in the 7th round by the Pirates, and you played a year in rookie ball. You skipped low A and spent 2 years in high that had the chance to potentially be your last. Talk about what you remember in that second year.
Yeah, I remember Tyson Lusk, who was working at the University of North Carolina. He was my best friend in college, and he worked for the team. He called me, and their volunteer assistant job was potentially going to open up. And I was, like you said, in my second year of high A. Florida State League is probably the most miserable league you can play in. It's just so hot and just not fun. And I was playing really bad. And he asked if I would be interested in taking the job if it opened up. And so I gave a lot of consideration to quitting playing and going and taking that job. But it was the middle of the year, and I just didn't feel right about quitting on the team in the middle of the year. And just kind of stuck it out, decided to stick it out, and ended up really having a really good second half of the year. Especially last month, I hit like 450, I think. So, it was just one of those things that kind of worked out. And, for whatever reason, I guess I was supposed to stick with baseball, and had a really good month and got promoted to AA the next year and AAA the year after that. And, was in the big leagues that year. So, yeah, it was kind of crazy, but definitely almost quit baseball there for a minute.
For sure. So 2019 rolls around, and you're designated for assignment, and no teams pick you up. Tell me how you went from that and ending the season as the starting catcher for the Pirates.
I think getting designated and then not getting picked up by anyone, because when I got designated, there were a few teams that needed a catcher because they had some injuries and that sort of thing. And I still didn't get picked up. And so it was kind of an eye-opening moment for me. Like, why does nobody want me, basically? So I kind of did some self-evaluating, and that's when I really dove into a lot of the defensive metrics and receiving specifically, and worked really, really hard to get better at it. And it became a huge priority in my game. And that year I made a lot of offensive strides too. So as the year went on, Chris Archer and Joe Musgrove were seeing how hard I was working at receiving and how much better I was getting. And they always trusted my game calling. So they both requested that I catch them. And so I caught them every time they pitched, and then it turned into me getting more regular playing time and eventually taking over the starting job. So those guys will always hold a special place in my heart. But yeah, that's kind of how it went down.
For sure. And speaking of starting to focus on the defensive metrics, you as a kid, you've said before that you used to dream of winning a Gold Glove, but you weren't sure if you would make it to the big leagues. But if that someone would hit for you, then maybe you could win a Gold Glove. Tell me when that dream in your professional career started seeming like it could be a reality.
I think in 2019, when I started getting more playing time and defensive runs saved, I played about half the innings of most starting catchers in the league that year. And I ended up with, I think, 12 or 14 defensive runs saved, which was third in all the big leagues. And when I saw that I was doing that kind of stuff with, receiving and everything, I thought maybe it was, I don't know how long I'll get to be a starting catcher, but maybe my window was right now. And in the pandemic season, I finished second. And so I came back in 2021. And I mean, that was just really what fueled me every single day. And, no matter what the score was, I knew I was still playing for the Gold Glove and ended up winning it that year. And so it was pretty special. I get it. I haven't even gotten it yet. I get it next week. So I'm looking forward to that.
And that'll be very exciting. I'm excited for you to be able to finally get it. And so I know that you changed your focus in that season. But there's a story about you that I really admire and was kind of shocked when I heard it that you had done this. But talk about how the email that you made and sent to the people at Saban.
Yeah. So Saban is the metric that basically the Gold Glove and Rawlings uses to, that metric, and then also coaches vote. But I was interested to see like what kind of stuff they took into account for the Saban metric system. So I just got online and found an email for somebody who worked at Saban, and they emailed me back and like, oh yeah, let me connect you with our CEO. And so he eventually called me, and we probably talked for 15 minutes, and he just was kind of telling me what went into their metric, what goes into metrics in general. And because I didn't really know a whole lot about, I knew what the end results were. Like if you throw guys out, you're going to get credit for that. But what other stuff goes into it, what's weighted more heavily, and that type of stuff. So it's pretty funny. He kind of tweeted out that story after I won the Gold Glove, and I didn't even know if he would remember. And so it was pretty cool, and it was helpful too, because I knew kind of what kind of stuff went into the metrics and all that.
For sure. That story really impresses me about you. I guess I just wouldn't expect you to go find an email somewhere, but it ended up working in your favor. You won the Gold Glove, and our family all got together to watch the ceremony, I guess you could say, that they had on TV. And I had been texting you about it because I flew home from school to come and watch, and you just seemed so nervous. You're like, I don't know if you should do it. I don't know if you should fly home just in case I don't win. You were nervous about our family coming over to watch just in case you didn't win. But really, there was something else that was going on, and you and Dad had been texting for a long time about the possibilities. But tell me about what happened, and everyone about what happened when we were watching on TV.
Yeah, so I had already found out a couple of weeks beforehand that I had won, and but Rawlings and ESPN, they're very adamant about not telling anyone that you won, and because they don't want it to leak out. And they say don't tell your family or friends or anything like that. But under normal circumstances, I probably would have just told you guys. But I decided I thought it would be fun to have you guys be surprised. And when I was putting together this plan, I didn't know that ESPN was going to want to interview me. And so they interviewed me earlier that day as a part of the show or whatever. And so after they announced that I won, all you guys are obviously so surprised and everything. And then I pop up on TV to do an interview, and everybody was very confused, and maybe a couple members of the family weren't very happy with me that I didn't tell them about it. But I thought we got it on video, and I thought it was a pretty cool moment that everyone was surprised. So I dealt with the backlash, but the moment was still fun.
It was worth it for sure. It took us about like 3 seconds of loading time looking at the screen and seeing you doing an interview, but realizing you're still sitting there. It took us a sec to realize that you had known. But in November of this past year, it was right before the lockout, and you were traded to the Marlins, and you were a centerpiece of a trade, which I know you probably never imagined would happen. but tell me about what it's like to catch one of, if not the best pitchers in baseball right now in Sandy Alcantara.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing things that really no one does anymore. I mean, the amount of innings that he's thrown, I think he's gone 7 innings or more and 7 straight starts or something like that. And, you know, doing that and still having like a 1.8 ERA right now, it's just what he's doing is really incredible. And he's just, it's really a pleasure to be able to catch him doing what he's doing right now. I mean, it's just, nobody does it anymore, and he's pretty incredible. So it's fun to be able to be back there with him every game, and it makes baseball a lot of fun when he's out there, because he's doing things that that no one else does. And you know, I hope he gets to start the All-Star game. I feel like he's certainly deserving, and hopefully he can keep this up for the rest of the year so he can win the Cy Young. But both of those things would be very special.
For sure. Well, I'm very happy for you that you're getting to experience all of this, and for not only the success that you've been able to have, but I think our family is way more proud of the person that you are, and you've always done things the right way, which makes us all very proud. So thank you so much for doing this today, Jacob. Good luck in your game tonight. I'll be seeing you.
Yeah. Have fun
Okay.
with the kiddos here in a little
I
bit.
will. I will. Thanks for doing this, Jacob.
All right, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. Will you stick around for just a couple of minutes in the next segment?
Of course. I'd love to.
Okay, because I want to find out more about.
Other banks go out of their way to make redeeming credit card rewards needlessly.
Wow. Somebody else butted in. We didn't know that was coming. I want you to stick around, though. I want to hear more about the Night of the Gold Glove thing, because I heard after.
I'm sure you did.
So, do I just send this thing to the break?
Yeah, George, you ever done this before?
Yeah, but I didn't know if you had one of your, A+ reads over there.
No more. You should be happy about that, George.
So good at that. We will go to the break. Okay, help me with this. Today, I'm told we're going to do text questions.
Oh, yeah. We've got a lot of questions coming up, George.
Okay.
The social media questions are firing up. So coming up after the break, I'll feed you guys some of those.
How do people do that?
So if you want to keep asking questions, you can comment on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching it on. So it's pretty easy, George. You could probably do it.
Oh, nice. Okay, we'll go to the break. We'll ignore Billy and tell you that you're watching the George Plaster Show, which means that I can X him out if need be, on Main Street Media Television.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports card, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Tell me a little bit about your company.
So One Stop Realty has been around since 1974. We are your hometown brokerage. It is family owned by me. We have 30 agents that are waiting to help you with all your real estate needs. That counts as residential, commercial, and property management. We also will be getting into the auction business at the end of this month as well. We have listings that range from every price range that you can think of on the real estate market. I know Shelly Tucker has a new listing coming up in Gallatin. Heather Patton has one in Madison right around the corner here. I have one coming up myself. We have everything you need as far as real estate, and we have the expertise to help you out.
Beautiful. Give them a phone number.
Phone numbers for the office is 615-822-0750. You can find us on the web at www.onestoprealty.tn.com.
Thanks for getting involved with us.
George,
really
thank you for
appreciate
having
this. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
I think so.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links. Jody Jones Dentistry can handle all your dental needs, from the basics to cosmetic procedures. All of this in the nicest dental facility I have ever seen. Jody has done it right. They're located conveniently at 55 Music Square East, and for an appointment, it's simple. Dial 615-259-5100 and tell them Plaz sent you.
We are back. We have asked Jordan Stallings to stick around for a couple of minutes here in this segment. Then we will take some of your text questions for both me and Watson. Watson, are you there in Cookeville?
I'm right here, babe.
What do you think the reaction would be if Steven won a Gold Glove and you're watching the show and you found out he knew for 2 weeks?
If he's still alive when it was over, I don't believe I could have handled that. Jordan's pretty good if she can handle that, because I don't think I could have handled that.
So Jordan, Jacob's getting the Gold Glove tonight.
Yes, he's being presented with it in Miami. They're playing against the Pirates, so that's what most of my family is watching right now.
So mom and dad are there.
Dad is there.
Dad is there, so he's not even watching this.
No, not yet. We'll get them the recording.
He'll get the tape later. So how long did it take him to figure out that Jacob had known?
So Jacob, the issue with why certain people were mad, i.e. my dad, is because not only did Jacob know, he lied just every day
for about 2 weeks.
For how I think he said a week or 2 weeks or so. But he and my dad talk baseball a lot.
Oh,
we all know that.
Believe me, yeah.
All day, every day. And they're for weeks going through possibilities of him winning the Gold Glove.
The scenarios. Because your dad goes through those a lot.
I can still see the defensive run saved page on my iPhone that we were looking at over and over again every single game. So Jacob knew, but I'm so nervous. He told me not to come home from school because he just didn't want to risk him not getting the Gold Glove and me coming home for the ceremony.
He lied.
Yeah. And then he shows up on the TV in an interview but he was sitting on the couch right next to us. So we're all jumping up and down screaming. And then his face pops up on the TV. And during the ceremony, my mom actually was texting my dad the whole time, freaking out, being like, the people who win have interviews done. Does this mean Jacob didn't win? Does this mean Jacob didn't win? We're all freaking out internally because we're like, he didn't do an interview. And then he shows up on the screen.
That is hilarious. Well, look, I hope Jacob enjoys tonight. It's against his old team tonight, Marlins and Pirates down there.
Yes.
And I know your dad will enjoy it. And I hope you enjoyed the time on here.
I did. I loved it. Thank you for having me.
It will not be your last interview.
It will not. It will not.
I'm not sure what that means yet, but stick around. Next few days, part 2.
Yes.
With someone.
With someone.
Okay, Watson?
Yes, sir.
Now.
What are we going to do now? Take some calls?
We're going to take some questions.
Take some questions? Good.
Yeah.
Can you see me? It has come completely dark.
Did you lose power out in Cookeville? What's happened?
I mean, we're fixing to get the biggest storm you've seen in a while. It is completely, it's like it's midnight outside right now. So I didn't know if you all could see me.
That looks
No, you look like one of these glow-in-the-dark jobs.
That's what I say. I'm going to try to turn a light on and see if that'll help.
Glow-in-the-dark shirt on.
Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so Jacob, I almost called Billy Jacob. Well, I did. Billy, so you've got questions off the text line. Let's just go.
Yeah, George,
See where this
first
takes
question is what can we expect from Traylon Burks' rookie season for the Titans? And that is from Matt in Murfreesboro. What can we expect from Traylon Burks' first season with the Titans?
I'd rather hear Watson's answer.
Whoo! I don't know that I got an answer for that one yet. That's it sure hadn't been a good start. I can say that. The kid was a great player in college, and I don't know the health issues. If they can get everything worked out, I think he's going to be a really good player. Losing AJ to me, guys, that's a killer. And everything had been positive to me till that point, and I just don't think we've got that replaced. I don't see how a rookie coming in could just do what AJ can do. But we'll see. I think he's a good player. I think it'll work out, but I don't think we're going to just plug him in and not miss what we had.
In your glow-in-the-dark stuff there.
Do I need to turn the light off, or do you want me to leave it on?
No, I looked at it and I was like, what the hell's going on there? So what do you remember of him as a college player?
A lot of like Brown was at Ole Miss. A big physical, jump up, make plays, run over you, block really well. Gave him balls on reverses and different things. He made a lot of plays in a lot of ways. To me, he was another AJ Brown. That's what I thought he was. But he's walking in as a rookie, and we've had one that's been in the league here and made plays in the league at very critical times in playoffs and different times. And I just don't think you replace that right away. I just don't think it's possible. So I think there's going to be a fall off there. Now, we've really improved ourselves at tight end, though, guys. I think we've
no question.
That's going to make a difference where we don't just have to go to the wideouts. And honestly, as little as Julio played, we're probably going to have an improvement there just because Julio just couldn't stay healthy. So maybe it'll overcome the loss. But I think Burks will come back. I hope it's right away when we start practice, but hopefully before we get into the real games, he's back in a health way.
Okay, Billy, what do you got?
George, next question comes from Bo in Lebanon, and Watson's going to like this one. So will you, but is the Pac-12 toast? Are we seeing the beginning of the end for the Pac-12?
I'll start that, George. Yeah, there's no way it's the old Pac-12. The only way that this could work now is to merge two conferences some way. And guys, I'm not sure that'll even do it. You can't lose Southern Cal and UCLA and be near as good. You can't lose Oklahoma and Texas in the Big 12 and be as good. And so I don't see either one of these two conferences surviving on their own. The Big 12's added some teams now, but it's not going to get that television revenue the same way that it could have with Oklahoma and Texas.
Okay, let me try this one on you. The rumor out there, obviously, is that Oregon and Washington are sitting in the on-deck circle waiting for, I guess, confirmation from the Big Ten that they might get in. Not a sure deal, but that's the big rumor out there. Watson, as a stopgap, doesn't the Pac, whatever it is, Pac-6 or Pac-8 or whatever, doesn't San Diego State have to fit into whatever reconfigured deal there is?
Very much so. I agree with that. But again, George, that doesn't move the needle. And you got to find a way to move the needle. The revenue from their TV packages is going to go down. I don't care who they add, unless they merged in some way, kept Oregon and Washington, and were able to merge with the with the Big 12. That would be the only possible way I see where both conferences could even get the money they're getting now in their next TV package. That's what everybody's after.
Oh, sure.
It's the dollars through the TV packages that are all coming up. They're Notre Dame is 2 years away. That's why I don't think you'll see Notre Dame do anything. When that package with NBC runs out, they're going somewhere, in my opinion. We might slow down a little bit now if the Big Ten doesn't take Oregon and Washington right away, which they may not. I don't think the SEC's moving right now. I don't. There's still a lot of talk about the four: Virginia, North Carolina, Miami, Clemson, Florida State. That seems to be the five I hear. Some form of those joining the SEC. I'll be surprised if I see that anytime soon.
Do you Vandy opens August 27th at Hawaii?
Yeah.
Any chance Hawaii is part of a reconfigured pack, whatever number you want to put in there?
I think any of those group of fives could be, and any of those on that West Coast area could be. I don't think they're going to want to run toward the Midwest and grab that. I think they're going to want to stay in their area unless they can come up with a merge between the two. Again, the Big 12 and the Pac-12. I don't think the ACC would merge. We have read that where the ACC and the Pac-12 might merge. Don't believe that. I just don't believe that. Mac said yesterday that they came close to merging with the Pac-12 back when he was at Texas. So that's still a possibility to me, that they try to put those two conferences together. And if they do that, then all of a sudden you've got the big group in the SEC, you've got the big group in the Big Ten, you'd have a big group now with the Pac-12 and the Big 12 together, and here's the ACC sitting out by itself. So everybody's got to be nervous right now, and they're looking over their shoulder, in my opinion.
What next, Guillermo?
George, next question here. It's Bob, not Bo. Bob in Nashville.
Well, now, hold on a second. Bob has 3 letters. Bo has 2.
I was reading. Sorry, George.
You had a little problem there, didn't you?
Yeah. I went to Father Ryan, not BGA. Sorry about that.
Wow.
Bob in Nashville.
Don't you ever forget it.
I won't, with you telling me. Could Clemson join the ACC? Watson just answered it, but I'll kind of rephrase it as, will they be the first team to join, or are they the top tier team in that team group?
Watson, let me try it this way. Do you believe the SEC, in whatever Sankey has cooked up here, are they headed toward 20 teams?
Yes, but not in. It may take a couple of years before it goes that far. I'm not sure they won't sit at the 16. We all know that if Notre Dame approached the SEC, they're in on the spot. Everybody's going to wait on Notre Dame.
Let's practice that. Hold on. You're the SEC. I'm Notre Dame. Hey, can we join you?
Yeah.
That's the way it would work.
Yeah. Bring it on. Clemson would be the next. Clemson would be the next one, in my opinion, over Florida State, North Carolina, Miami. If they grab Notre Dame, I think they'd go straight to Clemson on the spot and take them alone right there and make it to 18. I just think it's going to sit tight unless Oregon and Washington are the one that I'm still not sure about. But if they sit tight, if the Big Ten sits tight with that, I think the next one to fall will be Notre Dame, and it'll be a while.
We got time for one more before the break.
Yeah, well, George, we actually don't really, but I'll do it quick here. My question is, for the Big Ten, is it possible for them to reach the status that the SEC has down the road? Like, is it possible for those two conferences to become virtually even here in about 4 or 5 years?
It's all about Notre Dame, isn't it?
It's all about the Irish?
Honestly, right now, they're pretty even in dollars as it is, guys. The Big Ten's right with the SEC on the dollars. They're not far apart at all. Everybody else is lower. But, yeah, it's very possible for the Big Ten to catch the SEC and be two very strong super conferences. Absolutely it is.
By the way, Watson, when we come back, I've got one of the questions, and it's been aimed at me.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I want to hear this one.
Yeah, it involves last night. Yeah.
Well, Billy and I didn't do very good either. We took the Braves over the Mets, and that didn't work out.
That's what's going to come up.
So we're kind of over.
So I'm going to turn again. Billy, do I go to the break?
George, we are waiting on Brian Stewart for a little commercial here. He should be coming in any second.
Okay.
So should we kind of preview your bet? What you just hinted at it. Is it the Braves?
No, I absolutely have not.
No sneak peek?
No, oh, absolutely not. Things can change. Information can come in. If you think I'm okay with, losing every night, no, because let me tell you, the guy sitting over there in darkness,
it's gotten a little better over there.
He will rip me to shreds. If I am something like 2-7, 9 in, I will never hear the end of it out of him.
Billy, he is the worst front runner I've ever known.
Oh,
the
man.
Absolute worst. So when he gets to that, we got to sit back and take it, buddy. You might as well get ready because it's brutal. So you have to combat that a little bit with when he goes kind of down the tubes a little.
I'm going to do my best, but when he's a loser, that's when that's our turn to pile on.
When he's a front runner, just sit back because you can't get a word in.
You can't do much else.
No, nothing.
Just take it, sit back. That's Brian Stewart back there, and he's on with us. So, Brian, how you doing? That's Brian Stewart back there. Whatever you got on, I need you to turn it off. Okay.
There we go. I think I figured it out now, George.
Excellent. Okay. So things did not go well for us last night, you and I at Truist Park. But let's talk about your company, One Stop Realty, and some cool things going on. I heard you say something yesterday about getting into the auction business. What does that mean exactly?
So one of the big programs that we've wanted to introduce for a while, I hired Barry Huber in, and we sent him to auctioneer school, and he will be a fully licensed auctioneer at the end of the month. Auction just gives another option for people selling homes. If they don't want to go through the hassle of showing homes and not having all the people coming in and out of their house, the auction gives them the option to have a one-day sale at their property. And it's an option that a lot of people are taking right now as far as going into the way the market has changed. We've all seen the interest rates raise up. We've seen the market slow down somewhat as far as selling homes. So auction is just another way to give another option for a seller out there.
So was the hat there to begin with, or is this for the commercial?
No, the hat is purely there for the commercial. That's for sure.
I love it. Absolutely love it. So if a person wants to reach you guys, they've heard these commercials and they're like, okay, this guy is sincere. He's in the community. He cares. How do they reach you?
They can reach us at the office at 615-822-0750. Our website, onestoprealtytn.com, or my cell phone, 615-440-7011. Always here to help.
Okay, and we've got the phone number underneath you. Brian, let's get a win tonight.
Yeah, the good thing is that Max Scherzer is not pitching tonight. Thank the Lord for that.
Oh, yeah. What we don't need is a sudden Jacob deGrom out of nowhere.
No, we do not. And like they said last night in the broadcast, it's scary to think that him and Verlander were in the same rotation at one point in their careers.
Oh, can you imagine?
Just unbelievable.
Brian, you have a good one. We'll do this again tomorrow.
Thank you, George. I appreciate being on here.
Absolutely. Good talking to you.
You too, sir.
Good man right there. Brian Stewart joining us with One Stop Realty. Okay, so we're going to go back to some questions. This one got thrown my way, Watson, from James in Hohenwald, who said, George, are you worried about the Braves now that Scherzer has stuffed it down their throat? Was that really necessary?
I'm not that brutal.
Stuffed it down their throat. James.
You're saying you'd hold back?
What do you mean?
You would say the same thing if the Braves just did that to the Mets.
Good point.
I mean, come on.
I would have taken stuffed out and used crammed.
Much better.
Yeah. Okay.
You would have used "Who's Your Daddy"?
Who's Your Daddy? You're right.
Who's Your Daddy is the plaster stick it down your throat deal. Who's your daddy?
So last night, Scherzer was fabulous, by the way, and Max Fried was doing a lot of bobbing and weaving. He clearly didn't have anywhere near his best stuff. And he, you talk about some ring savvy. He showed it last night to get through 5. That makes tonight, I'm not going to sit here and say, listen, it's win or else. But this is a really important game for the Braves. They do not need to have the Mets leaving town saying, you know what? We're better than them. This is a big game they need to win. And so it makes tonight pretty important, but let's not go do or die by any stretch. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
That's fair, I guess.
What do you got?
George, you want one more question here to close out?
I've got several.
Oh, you've got several? I
was given a list that you didn't know about.
Okay, let's hear another one from your list.
Okay, Lenny in Smyrna, Tennessee. Great question. Do you favor today the Colts or the Titans in the division?
Good one right there.
That's why he sent it.
George, me personally, I'd still go Titans. I don't think the Colts have done enough. I mean, they had a solid year last year, but the Titans, I mean, that was kind of a down year, at least at the end. It was a good season, regular season. But the Colts, I still think the Titans have the edge right now.
I think it's dead even, Watson. And if Matt Ryan, I think, first of all, Matt Ryan is going to be really rejuvenated by the fact that he's on a team that's got a chance. I look for him to have a monster year. I don't think he's washed up by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't either. That's why I wouldn't have said it's even, George, if A.J. Brown was still on this team. But right now I call it even. Our defense was really good and probably didn't get enough credit. But the Colts had a good defense too now. Both have great running backs. Both love to run the ball. I think it's dead even going into the season.
I don't have it in front of me. When do they play each other? I think it's later in the year. That's what the NFL tries to do. Let's just take a quick look here.
We would go to them first, right? Because I think they came to us first last year.
Titans at Colts, October the 2nd.
Yep.
And then the return match in Nashville, October 23rd. So
quick.
Yeah, very quick. Surprised they didn't put those later in the year.
Yep.
So listen to this one. We've got somebody watching us down in Baton Rouge. Thus, this question from Mark, who says, will Joe Burrow end up as a Hall of Famer?
That's a really
gosh. I think at his age, where he is in his career, I think it's all about health. I do think they've improved their offensive line. That's why I think the Bengals will be a factor again this year. If he stays healthy with that quick release he has, the savvy he has, I think he could be. But that's a long way away, guys. That's a lot of healthy years to make it that far.
The thing that impressed me, obviously, we got to see him in the playoff game. Cool, calm, collected.
Absolutely.
And you know what's interesting about that, Watson? I'd never thought about it until Mac brought it up yesterday. If he doesn't transfer, does he ever see the light of day at Ohio State?
No, not at all. And what happened, in my opinion, what happened to Joe Burrow, I say this to quarterbacks all the time, especially back in my day recruiting them. Go where the offense fits you. Joe was in an offense that did not fit him. They wanted the more running, athletic guy, and he never got to show his skills, in my opinion. I don't think that was anything that was Joe's fault other than going to a university that the offense didn't fit him. Urban Meyer was not going to be the LSU drop back, sling it ever down. That's not going to be him. And as soon as he got to that style of offense, he flourished.
Okay, I've got one from Cookville, right in your backyard. Vol40 asks the question, is Tennessee a top 25 team? And if not, what stops it from happening? Well, okay, I went to the bowl game. Defensively, they had no answers for Purdue. They've got to get a ton better on that side of the football. And Watson, I'm going to go on the assumption that they do.
100%. That's what it is. They will be good on offense unless Hooker were to get hurt. If he stays healthy, they're going to be good. The style they play is hard to stop. It wears you down as games go on. They don't mind at all getting in high-scoring games. Their offense, George, doesn't help their defense at all. And so everybody was going to harp on the defense, but they play so many more plays than probably Alabama does or maybe Georgia does. And but they've got to get better on defense. If they get better on defense, they're most definitely top 25, maybe even better than that.
Go back to his picture for a minute. Are the lights back on?
No, I just adjusted lights. How's that?
It's very nice.
I'm becoming a technician here.
You've got a little glow in the dark, but not as much as you did.
That blonde
hair. It is dark, completely dark outside. So we're working the best we can here to come up with what we got to do.
Okay, so you've got a big storm.
We're going to get one. It's raining, but I don't think we've hit the tough parts yet.
Okay, the last one I've got. Billy, you got any more?
No, go ahead, George.
Okay. Jim up in Franklin, Kentucky says, are you surprised a bigger school has not snapped up Mark Stoops?
Yes. But Kentucky can match financially with anybody. That's not an issue. He's in the SEC. He's winning. What's a bigger school? I mean, if it's going to be one of those traditional Oklahomas, Texas, something like that, because a lot of these places aren't bigger than Kentucky right now. They're doing well. He's doing very well. And I think it would take one of those to get him out of there. I think he feels good where he is, and I think he thinks he can keep it going at Kentucky.
This is a really good question that this guy asked. Do you think he ends his football career at Kentucky?
If he doesn't hit one of those big ones that would just be hard for him to not take a shot at, yes. I think he could very well do that as long as he feels he's not one of those 500 jobs. He's not in the lower part of the SEC, and he's not right now. So I think he feels good about where he is. I think he thinks he can get it done at Kentucky, and I think they're taking care of him pretty well financially. I think his coaches are paid up there with a lot of the big guys. So that's what I see. I don't see him leaving unless it's Southern Cal, one of the traditionals that it's just too much to turn down.
Okay, help me with this before we end this segment. I always used to hear that Kentucky geographically was in a bad deal. Too far north to get a lot of the southern kids, and the Ohio States of the world would dominate above them. So how has he beaten that rap?
Well, first of all, he went in and the facilities are phenomenal at Kentucky. If you went to Kentucky, you leave Nashville and you drive to see the facilities in Lexington, you'd be shocked. They're phenomenal. He's gotten it going. So now he has gotten further out in recruiting. He's doing really well down in Florida. Where I think he did well when he first went there, George, is he kind of went north a little bit for some of his bigger bodies for sure, and did well going north. When I was at Cincinnati, I said to myself, why in the world is Kentucky not up into Ohio? Ohio is a great high school football state. And why are they not in Ohio? Why aren't they in Michigan? I remember going to Detroit to recruit a kid and walking trying to get him to visit. I'm at Cincinnati. And he said, I think I'd like to visit. I haven't ever been south before. He called Cincinnati south. That wasn't south to me. But that really opened my eyes. And I always said, if I was at Kentucky, I would come north. And I think they've done quite a bit of that.
Guess what's coming up next?
What you got?
Plaster bet of the day.
Oh, boy. I can't wait.
Comes up after the break. This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media Television.
This is attorney Bart Durham, and this is me. I'm Aaliyah. Keeping in good physical condition is really important to me. But when I had a wreck with a tractor trailer truck that hurt my legs so bad I couldn't work for almost a year, I knew I needed a lawyer that understood tractor trailer cases. So I called Bart. Bart gets millions of dollars for his clients every year.
At Bart Durham Injury Law, we've handled hundreds of tractor trailer cases.
My dad and I want to help. Give us a call at 615-242-9000.
When you're thinking about golf, consider Riverside Golf Links. Under new ownership, the course has improved dramatically. It's now 27 holes, complemented by a 9-hole executive course. Book a tee time now at 615-847-5074 and get ready to enjoy the beauty of golf in the Old Hickory area at Riverside Golf Links.
Hey everyone, I'm John English. This is Keith Wallace, and we would like to welcome you to John English Antique Sports and Cards in Shelbyville, Tennessee.
We specialize in graded and ungraded sports and non-sports cards, vintage wax boxes, and unopened cases. We have a large selection of PSA graded cards. We also specialize in old sports collectibles, baseball, football, basketball, golf, and tennis. You can find it all at John English Antique Sports and Cards.
We are happy to be associated with Nashville's greatest sports antique, George Plaster.
Have you heard about the high levels of radon in Middle Tennessee? Radon gas is the second leading cause of lung cancer, second only to smoking, and has no color, no taste, and no smell. The only way to know if you have radon is to test for it. Duret Radon Mitigation offers testing for small and large-scale residential and commercial properties, plus mitigation services. Visit DuretRadonMitigation.com to request testing or get a free estimate for mitigation. That's DuretRadonMitigation.com.
So this little phone right here, yeah, I've got an iPhone. I've checked all the latest information. Watson, if you think for 1 minute that this losing is going to continue, it's not.
Did you pick a really easy one tonight where you could get back on track?
Well, let me say this. I'm deeply disappointed in the Giants. They had won 12 in a row at home against Arizona and then gagged last night. So I'm a little bitter about that.
Are they a fraud?
No, they're not. No, we don't know that. No. That was another show. Another station.
Yeah, mini shows. Mini shows.
Okay. Let's see what we have concocted for tonight.
There it is.
Oh, yeah. Spencer Strider is going to shove it up there. You fill in the blank. Watson, he has had double-digit strikeouts. I think I'm right about this. In 3 starts in a row. This kid went to Clemson and, to be honest, came out of nowhere in spring training. And Spencer Strider is the real deal.
I can't disagree. He's been a major surprise. And maybe the reason I think they got a shot to get back and win it all again is that the pitching staff has been very surprising to me. Another one on that staff that we won't bring up that you blasted for a year has done pretty well too, as we well know.
And in truth, in fairness to Kyle Wright, he has made me look stupid.
Yes, he has.
He had a real claim to be on the All-Star team.
He did. I agree.
He really did. What is he, 10-4, 9-4?
I think he's 110, I think. Am I not right?
I mean, good for him. He's probably got my picture on some dartboard. I have to ask Frank Gore if that's in the.
You need a bodyguard if you get around him. Make sure you got a bodyguard with you.
No kidding. So, anything else you'd like to cover before we end?
No, I'm good. You look nice today. You've got on an Augusta shirt.
It's free. It's a gift.
Believe me, you didn't buy it. Believe me, I can promise you that one. I was going to ask, you beat me to it. Who gave you the shirt? Because
you know what? It's none of your business. Okay. But here's what I will do, Watson. It's so tacky.
That's
I will
true.
wear a shirt tomorrow.
I'm being truthful.
I will wear a shirt tomorrow that I have paid for.
You will?
Yep. It'll probably be faded.
That's what I was going to say. Is it presentable?
It's probably a little faded.
When did you buy it? Back in 1970 something or
3 stations ago?
Some things are done on centuries. You do things on stations.
Watson tomorrow. That's a good line. Watson tomorrow. Florida State University's Micah Pittman will join us.
Good.
4:20.
Good.
5 o'clock hour, we'll get into a little bit of Tennessee Titans football. Training camp is just around the corner.
Wow. Isn't that
and
amazing?
the music, guess what that means?
Means it's time to go.
It means you can go stick your head out in the lightning.
Stay safe out there, Watson.
Yeah,
Thanks
absolutely.
a lot, George.
Absolutely. See you
Take
tomorrow,
care of yourself,
Watson.
Billy.
All right.
Thanks to all of you for being with us. We've had fun today. Hope you have as well. This is the George Plaster Show on Main Street Media Television. Good night, everybody.